Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my channel, Novel Serendipity. Today's video is going to be kind of a Asian History Month kind of inspired video. And basically what today's video is going to be is all of my Asian inspired owned, like physically, books. So some of them I have read, some of them I have not. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about each one because I do have quite a few here, but I am going to go by region. Some I have more than others, like I have more Japanese inspired books just because that is like a very personal passion of mine. So I'll probably start with my Japanese because I have the most of those and just kind of go from there. So the first book I want to talk about that is Japanese inspired is The Beast Player by Naoko Uehashi. This one is translated from Japanese into English. Some people have a hard time reading this book because it is a little bit more of a direct translation. This is a book that I have read. It was beautiful. It did take me a little bit more time to get through it because it was a little bit more atmospheric, and I'm very plot and character driven. Like, I like action, and this has action. It's very much atmospheric, and sometimes I don't do the best with these books, but I still really enjoyed it. It was still very beautifully written, even though it was a translation, but I recommend this book. It follows a girl who, her family are descendants of basically people that can talk to these different creatures called Yoda, kind of where the beast player comes into. They're called beasts by some other people. Some very tragic things happen. She is then raised by a beekeeper, and then she is sent to this school where they take care of royal beasts. So these are basically royal people that basically buy and have these beasts. Basically, it's a show of power. But it kind of goes through her not necessarily telling anyone that she comes from people that have taken care of Yoda, because the royal beasts sanctuaries, they don't look kindly on basically people that have been keepers or descendants of Yodas. So that's just kind of how that is. I'm sure that was a horrible explanation of what this book is about, but it is a beautifully written novel. I also heard that it was made into a manga and an anime, and I really want to see if the anime is like a series or if it's more of a movie. But either way, now that I've finished reading this book finally, I do want to look up kind of what's going on there. Next one, I have books 1 and 2 of this series. It's The Flame in the Mist by Renee Adia. I also have Smoke in the Sun. I have not read book 2, but this is very feudal Japan inspired. We follow Mariko, who is basically on her way to her betrothed. She is set up for like an arranged marriage, and on her way there, her convoy is attacked. And I think it's been a while since I read it, but I'm pretty sure she's the sole survivor of this attack. So she goes undercover as a boy, infiltrates basically the people, the tribe that attacked her convoy to kind of get justice or revenge on basically what happened to her. And so it follows that. It's beautiful. The only downside or the only complaint I have about this book is that on the back cover it talks about Mariko being a alchemist, and alchemy is not mentioned once in this book, and I heard that it's not mentioned in Smoke in the Sun either. So I'm not sure if that's something that was edited out late in the game before it was published and they forgot to take it out of the synopsis, but here it is. My next one is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and I also have Soul of the Sword. This is another series where I've read the first book but haven't read the second book. I really, really enjoyed this book. It is a Japanese mythology and culture inspired book. It is also set kind of in like that feudal times. And it follows Yumiko, who is raised by monks. Tragedy strikes, like most books that I am talking about. Tragedy strikes. And she is basically sent out. But she is part yokai, if I'm not mistaken, and so she's raised by these monks to kind of control all of that. She is then on this quest for the search of 1,000 prayers, and she meets up with a samurai whose name is Tatsumi, and they kind of go on this adventure together. They're both looking for those scrolls. Things happen. At the end of book 1, there's a huge cliffhanger, so why I haven't read book 2 yet, I don't know, but it's a mystery to me also. But I really did like book 1. I didn't have, if I remember correctly, pretty much any complaints about book 1. And my last Japanese inspired YA is Stormdancer by Jay Kristoff. This one I have not read, but I heard it is like a steampunk dystopian feudal Japan era inspired book. And I'm pretty sure the main character, it follows her and her dad. They are descendants of some sort of warrior. She is a warrior, and these warriors are like known or thought to be extinct, and I'm assuming something happens to where she has to kind of go out on her own. And then I was also told that this has a very like industrialization feel. This feudal Japan era is like industrialization is hitting them pretty hard. And so that's kind of where like the steampunk aspect of the book really plays into effect. I really want to get to this book. It's the only book one of these series that I've been showing you that I haven't read yet, so I should really just get to it. So my next category is going to be Indian. The first one is one of two contemporaries. The rest of these books are all fantasy inspired, but it is From Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. I think I'm saying that right. I was looking up some people pronouncing that name and I was getting conflicting things, but I'm pretty sure that is correct. And this one is like modern day, but it follows Twinkle, and she is an Indian American, and her dream is to be recognized as an Indian American female filmmaker. And so it follows her journey. I know she starts working with the twin of her crush, and I want to assume that she's gonna fall in love with the twin instead of the original crush. But this follows her. I heard that it has really good Indian American representation, and so it sounds really cute. It's just I don't read very many contemporaries, but I've had this for a really long time. I think this was in the first Owl Crate box that I ever got, and I still have not read it. The next series I haven't read either. Oops. We're getting into the books I haven't read yet, really. But I have books 1 and 2 of the Tiger Curse. I think it's a trilogy by Colleen Hook. And from what I have read about this book, when I was looking at the synopsis, when I decided to buy books 1 and 2, is that it follows a girl. She just graduated from high school and she's on the hunt for a job. And it sounds like she goes to maybe some like art curator or some museum or something, and she's offered this job, and she then is tasked with breaking a curse. She follows this tiger around. From what I understand, the tiger used to be a prince, maybe? I'm not sure, from like a long time ago. I think they go to India. It's Indian inspired. I'm assuming that they travel to India. It did say there was a lot of travel involved in the series, and so that sounds really intriguing. Like, is she breaking a curse on a tiger, or is she breaking a curse that like has nothing to do with the tiger? Was the tiger once a human? Like, I'm super intrigued, and that's why I bought the series. My last Indian inspired book is The Tiger at Midnight by Swati Tirdala, and so this one is Indian inspired and it's also Hindu inspired. I took a lot of Hindu classes in college. I almost got a minor for religious studies, and so I took Hindu myth and ritual, modern Hinduism, modern India, that kind of stuff. I also took some Buddhism courses, stuff like that. So I was almost there. I needed like one more semester and I could have done it, but like I needed to get out of school. But anyways, here it is. Gorgeous cover. It's why I got it. It might have also been a Owl Crate exclusive. It is signed. That makes me want to believe that it was. But I know this follows this girl, and she's like a rebel assassin for a rebel group. And she's on a quest to avenge basically the loss of, I think, somebody, or maybe like a way of life. I'm not sure. I just know she's an assassin trying to avenge something. And from what I could get from this book also is that she meets a soldier and some things happen from there. I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but it holds a lot of promise still in my eyes regardless of that, and I still really want to get to it. The next category is going to be my Chinese inspired books that I have here, YA books. And the first one is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. I have read this book. I did like this book. I think I gave it like a 4-star. All the reviews, like professional reviews, I guess you could say, is that this is like Runway meets Mulan. I don't necessarily agree with that, but we can go from there. This follows Maya. Her father is a famous dressmaker, and in this book, the dressmakers are men. It's just something that they do. Men are the dressmakers. And so it is like a Mulan because her father, his health is deteriorating, his hands don't work how they used to, and so he is called to the palace for this competition, and he can't go. Like, he can't do the making of the dresses anymore. She has actually been keeping their family shop open by doing all of the work, basically for him or for the family. And so she goes in his place, as a boy. What I don't like about this book is that it is marketed as basically a book with a huge competition, but about 50% through this book, the competition is over. Only about 50% of it is actually a competition. And that's something that kind of threw me off a little bit. Like I was only halfway through the book and like the main aspect of the book was done. It almost felt like it needed to be two shorter books. But that was my only complaint. Otherwise, it was fantastic. I like the way that Elizabeth Lim played with, like, in our society today, in, like, real life. Basically, clothes makers, I think the societal stereotype is women do that. Women are the ones with the needles and threads and stuff like that. And so she played on the gender swap of tasks in this book, and it was really refreshing and really well done. Next is also a book by Elizabeth Lim. I have not read it yet, but it's been on my physical TBR for, I don't know, probably over a year now. But that is Reflection, A Twisted Tale by Elizabeth Lim. In this one, it follows Mulan, and it is a Disney twisted tale. It's a darker side of Mulan, but it follows Mulan, who travels to the underworld to basically save Shang's life. For some reason, he's dying or he's dead. She goes down there, and I guess the devil or I don't know, whoever lives in the underworld doesn't want to give Shang up that easily, and so she has trials ahead of her. And so here is a Disney Mulan retelling, all wrapped up in one beautiful looking book. The next series is super popular on BookTube, Book Twitter, Bookstagram, Book Everywhere, and so I'm not going to go too much into it, but it is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Non, and I have books 1, I have the ARC for book 2, and then I have the exclusive book 2, like published book 2. It has sprayed edges. The exclusive dust jacket is coming it's been coming since, like, I don't know, February, so like it'll get here when it, but COVID-19 kind of set that back, but it does have like more of a white cover, lighter. But this series is also Chinese inspired, and it follows basically girls who are taken or sold to the empire or to emperor, are forced to become concubines. It is a female-female romance in here, but the females are also owned by the empire, like that they belong to them. And so there are a lot of trigger warnings for this, for like rape, sexual assault, abuse, so on and so forth, as you can imagine with like the history of concubines is all in here. I haven't read book 2 yet. I haven't even read the ARC, which I like basically, I sprinted to get to it at BookCon. I sprinted. It's just, you know, things happen. I haven't read it, but I have these, and they're Chinese inspired, and so they're going in this video. My last category is Korean inspired books on my bookshelf. The first one is my second out of my 2 contemporaries, and it is Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. I really wanted to get to this when I first bought it, when it very first came out. I even think I bought it for a friend. I think it was Alana from the Awkward Book Nerd. But this is very much marketed as, if you like K-dramas, you will like this book. And so it follows a K-pop star. There she is, very beautiful, very elegant, very cute. It follows a K-pop star. She just got done doing a really big performance. She's in this hotel. And then it follows this boy also who I think still lives with his parents. I think they're both teens. This is definitely a YA novel. And he goes to this hotel to do a job for the paparazzi. Either he works for the paparazzi or he is the paparazzi, I'm not sure. But they meet. I hear they have like this really cute dinner or something like that. Like she's going out to just get a hamburger. She just wants a hamburger, and he, I don't know, they run into each other, and I'm assuming it's just probably one of the most adorable books ever. It is on Alana's TBR for May, so I'm really excited for her to read it and then tell me how amazing it is. So here's the first one. The next one is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho, and this one is also one that's marketed that if you like K-dramas, you'll like this one. And I'm not sure if that's like a stereotype of all Korean inspired novels. Like they know that us K-drama fans or K-pop fans will like this. It's probably a marketing scheme, but here we are. This book follows Gu Mi-young, and she is a Gumiho, which is a nine-tailed fox. This is set in basically modern day Seoul. Historically, Gumihos have to feed on the energy of men. I think historically it's like sexual desires of men, but in this book I think it's just she goes around, she finds really bad men, and then she like sucks their life energy out of them. And so she's kind of been hiding with, I think, her mother in modern day Seoul. That's what she does. and she runs across this boy who's being attacked, saves him, loses her fox speed, and you can probably assume who has her fox speed. How are these two characters intertwined? I started this book when I was in kind of like a really low reading period time, and I only got to page like 50. But I did like it. I do want to restart it and actually read the entire thing because it was really good up until the point of where I like put it down. But I want to get to it because it was amazing and the rest of it sounds amazing. So here we go. Here's my last book. And so those are all of my Asian-inspired physical YA books on my shelf. Physical. I probably have a lot more on my Kindle as well, and I probably missed a few somewhere. I went through this bookshelf so many times that like I felt like I was reading the spines of the book so many times that like after a while I wasn't actually reading the spines. And so yes, here's this video. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but I'm really bad at talking about synopses of books, so like maybe not. I don't know. Let me know down below what you think or thought of this video. If you would like more of this kind of inspired videos, like Asian inspired, or I was thinking about doing kind of some Middle Eastern inspired because I do have quite a few of those as well. I do have a little bit of Russian inspired fantasies, but Russia's kind of hard because depending on where the book is located or like where the setting is, some of Russia is considered Asia and some of it is considered Europe. Even people in Russia, sometimes they're like, no, I'm Asian, or no, I'm European, depending on like kind of where they're located, even though 77% of Russia is in Asia, but most of the population is in Europe, and it just gets kind of tricky. So I was thinking that if I did include Russia in a video like this, that I would have a separate video for Russian inspired novels. That topic is just kind of tricky, and yeah, so here we are. But I do want to kind of do some more curated videos like this. Please let me know down below what you thought of it and what you think of this idea, but here we are. So like, comment, and subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye!